Hello, hello, woohoo, live, just at the beach, Batu Belig, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what is driving addiction, what is driving compulsive behavior, and I specifically wanted to talk about this because I didn't understand this for a long time, like why even though I gave up alcohol that I was continuing to be compulsive in other areas of my life, and I think that a lot of people yeah, I see a lot of people getting sober and then picking up other addictions. So whether it's a work addiction or whether it's addiction to some sort of behavior or person or another substance in sobriety, like gambling or something else. And so it took me 5 years to really understand what was going on under the hood. What was party? Hi, Dad. Hey, thank you. So what happens is, this is the way I see it. So what happens is at some point in our life we get traumatized, usually in childhood. We start to not get the attention, the affection, the connection, and the love that we crave as children. We internalize it as something's wrong with me, and that happens over and over again, and then it's heartbreaking. And so what we believe, and this is fully my beliefs, what we end up believing is that something is wrong with me, it's shame. So I'm not good enough or I'm unlovable, and that's too painful to recognize, to consciously be aware of that I feel that I'm not lovable. So we hide that down, that broken heart gets hidden underneath, and then we go through our life, and then when we get to a certain age, maybe alcohol or drugs start to make us feel good, because we can't feel that broken heart, we can't feel that dissonance. We have a lot of anxiety because we're acting like somebody else. We're trying to get love because we don't think that we're lovable. So we're doing all this stuff, and then maybe we get sober. Like in my case, I got sober September 29th, 2009. So I'm 7 years sober from alcohol. And but once we put down one substance like alcohol, and we find some sort of solution on how to make that work, there's still the underlying cause, and this is really how I see it. It's if we don't go to the root of what's under the hood, we're just going to keep being compulsive. So we're going to do whatever we can do to not feel, because the way I see addiction is it's compulsively not wanting to feel. I'm going to do anything to blow my mind on demand, anything to make me feel good, to make me not feel what's hidden under the hood. So, and that's the shame. That's the shame-based core. Especially for some of us, it's actually toxic shame. It's such an intense level that we are willing to do anything, even slowly kill ourselves, to not feel. So what happened for me is I got sober, and then I worked a lot, and then work was taken from my life. I had carpal tunnel and tennis elbow, so I literally was removed from a laptop, and then I was stuck with my feelings. I was hit with intense loneliness. I didn't know how to be with loneliness. I had never learned how to be with myself because it was too painful to actually be exposed to all of that stuff that was under the hood for me. And I think that, and this is just the way that I see it, I think until we're about 5 years sober, this isn't really revealed to us. Like, it takes a while to work through the first layers, like work through how to be with yourself, how to get over the fear and the anxiety. But when we start to remove that outer stuff, we can get more, it gives our conscious, like, it's the lower hanging fruits gone first, then we can get to the core, which is the shame. And so what happened for me, once I put down work, once work was taken from me, I went into spirituality, which is like I think it's the ego's most genius way to hide an addiction. So I moved to Bali, and I was doing all this spiritual work, and I was getting high in energy, and I didn't even know it. I'm doing all these like breath work things and all this Reiki's masters, and I didn't realize it because I thought I was connected to God. I didn't realize that I was actually blowing my mind on demand, that I was actually still trying to not feel compulsively. So whether it's with cigarettes, like I know that when I quit smoking cigarettes when I was 6 months sober, what happened was anytime I craved a cigarette, it was actually not a cigarette I was craving, it was something I didn't want to feel. I had a feeling and I didn't want it, so I thought cigarette. So the first year that I wasn't smoking cigarettes anymore, it was like, boom, I'm triggered into a feeling that I don't want, and then I think I want a cigarette. And so just being with that, like learning how to be with the feelings that I didn't want to feel, that's the way to heal, is that when we're actually willing to be with ourselves. That's self-love. Because addiction, at the root of it, is shame. It's I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, so I'm going to do all this shit to try to get love, which of course is heartbreaking, right? To like have that underneath and driving you. So I'm gonna be a high achiever. I'm gonna go into work addiction, because if I can get a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of accolades, fame, fortune, all this stuff, then I'm actually just not having to feel. I'm actually showing you that I'm worthy, because I don't believe that I'm worthy myself. And that's not to say that all high achievers are doing this, but I know for a lot of people that that I've come across, and in my own experience, anything, like if I'm not in control, if I'm doing something to get something, like I need to feel that you love me. I'm proving my lovability. And it's so, like, I think the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's like subtle. It's so hidden in the layers of the psyche. And for me, what happened is really like a funny story. Hi, Penny. I was in Nepal 2.5 years ago. 2 years ago, I was in Nepal. I was at a Tibetan Buddhist monastery doing a 3-week retreat there. And I was going really deep. I'd already been in Thailand for a couple of months doing all these like vipassanas and all this meditation, and this is part of my spiritual addiction. And I was, and it's so funny what did it for me. It was Brad Pitt woke me up. I was watching 7 Years in Tibet, and that's when it hit me. Because Brad Pitt's character in that, like what I perceived happening was they were both competing for this woman, and his friend was loving and genuine and connecting and vulnerable. And Brad Pitt was like, look, I'm this major athlete, I'm good looking, I have all these talents. So he was trying to do stuff to get love, trying to show he was worthy of love with his ego. And the other character was just being loving. And guess who the woman picked? The woman picked the loving man. And so when I saw that, because it was kind of embarrassing, I was like, holy fuck, I'm Brad Pitt's character. I'm still trying to get love, like through my spirituality. I'm still trying to prove that I'm good enough, and that completely shattered my psyche. And that's when I vowed I'm not going to be compulsive anymore. Like I'm going to see what's underneath this. Like what is driving this? Why do I need to prove myself? Why am I trying to prove? Why am I trying to like defend anything or prove anything? Like, you know, humans, all of us, you watching, like we are lovable. We are enough. Like what does not enough even mean? Like I don't even understand that. Like of course you're enough. You know, it's when we compare ourselves to other people and then we haven't processed our own feelings. So what do we do when we, if you relate to this, particularly if you're a couple years sober and there's all these uncomfortable feelings coming up, or you're doing other addictions, you're doing things you don't want to do compulsively, whether it's food, people get sober, they stop drinking and they start eating a lot of fucking food, or they start working a lot like I did, or they start whatever it is that they're doing whatever they need to do, whatever works, so they don't have to feel. Like if ice cream did it for me, maybe that's what I would have done, but food has never done it for me, so that's not something I reached for. So anyway, the only way that I see to truly heal from all of that stuff, to heal from not wanting to feel, is to feel. It's so simple, is to feel. But like us humans will do anything to not feel. We were like, I was drinking myself to death. Like I would rather poison myself than feel. Like it's crazy like what happens in our psyche. So if this message resonates with you, I mean the solution's really simple, it's to feel. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's try it right now. So you drop your attention out of your thinking and you bring it into your body. And you just notice, like, can you notice your heartbeat? Can you notice your legs? And the easiest way for me to really give this demonstration is like start dancing and then stop and close your eyes and just feel the energy moving in your body. Because energy, emotions, this energy that we don't feel, these feelings that we don't feel, they don't go away. That's the problem, is that they get trapped in our body. Because energy, emotions are energy, so they're meant to like blow through us like the wind. But when we don't let them blow through us, what we're actually doing is we're stopping them inside our body. I don't want to feel that. It doesn't just disappear, then it gets stored, and like the way that I see it is more of an analogy than like reality, but it's definitely stored in our body, but I see it as it's stored over our heart. And over and over again, everything that we never wanted to feel, everything it was like, fuck it, I'll have a cigarette, fuck it, I'll eat an ice cream, fuck it, I'll date this person, fuck it, I'll, you know, whatever I'll have a drink. All those feelings all that energy gets stored inside our body. And if, for someone like me who ends up getting sober, it stops working and then it explodes and there's all these feelings come up. So the quick way to get out of this is just to feel. Like, you know, we're humans, we're meant to feel. You know, like it's like embracing our own humanity. And to me that's self-love, because what addiction is and what doing this stuff compulsively, to say that I don't want to feel this way, when you do feel that way, that's rejecting yourself. It's abandoning yourself. It's deciding that what's going on with me is not okay. And that's what we did when we were kids, when we broke our heart initially. We decided that I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. We rejected ourselves, we abandoned ourselves, and we started acting different to get love. So the process of healing of the heart and healing through the compulsive behavior is radically accepting yourself. Deciding that I am lovable as I am, everything is allowed, every feeling is allowed, and you know, it's just because I feel angry at someone doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it means that I'm like have space. I'm allowed to like witness my anger and let it flow through me, to not lock it down and say I'm not going to feel that way or have a cocktail and act like it didn't happen, because it's just getting lodged in your body. And then if you wake up, like literally like have an awakening, you can go through the process of feeling the stuff that's been trapped in there. And that's been my journey, is releasing old trapped stuff in the body. Because what does it do? Like, what is heart disease? What is cancer? Where do they all come from? You know, the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual are all connected together. Oh, I'm just getting you know what? I'm gonna actually post something here for you guys. Somebody just, can I comment? I'm gonna try this. Okay, I just got a text and I saw something. Yeah, so how can I help? That's a great question, thank you. So I have something on Monday for you guys in California, and it's actually gonna be Tuesday morning in Bali, but Monday evening in California and New York. I'm doing a live training with heart healing where you can ask questions while it's happening. This is so important to me, you guys, this whole coming back to self-love, loving ourselves enough to accept ourselves. Like, if I don't love myself enough to accept everything that's going on with me, how can I love you? How can I accept you? It's impossible. I can't do for you what I can't do for myself. I can't give you what I don't have. So the journey starts with us. It starts with ourselves. It starts with healing our own heart, because the only way I can see that people can actually stop being compulsive, and this is totally inspired by John Bradshaw, who this was his life's work. He was sober, and this was his book was called Healing the Shame That Binds You. And so if you're relating to what I'm saying, like, check out John Bradshaw. He's a great book. Love that guy. His work, it really changed my thinking and my understanding on this. And it really is as simple as, if you want to stop being compulsive, if you want to stop doing something to change how you feel, just start to feel. You know, it's so cool that it's so simple, and that's self-love. Self-love is everything is okay. I'm okay. And once I can accept me, how I am, and everything that's going on inside of me, then I can accept you and I can love you. Hey guys, if you're there, I see some people are there. It's a little dark here. I was just inspired on the beach. But if you're there, write a question if you have a question or anything you want to know about self-love, compulsive, or anything that's coming up. Hey Saskia! Woo! So yeah, anyways, I would love it if this resonates with you, and if you're struggling with still being compulsive in sobriety, or you're, you know, we glamorize it, like we call it hustling, you know, it's work addiction. You know, and there's nothing wrong with achieving or high achieving. It's just when it's driving us into getting sick. So if I'm not feeling my emotions, they're getting trapped in my body, and that's going to lead to a disease later on, a dis-ease. And so, ooh, love the hearts. And so yeah, it really just comes down to loving ourselves enough to feel, loving ourselves enough to accept our humanity. You know, like, we were born humans, and like, can I embrace the human condition, which is messy and imperfect and all over the place, and these emotions, and sometimes they don't make sense, and sometimes they're, you know, we're actually projecting old stuff onto the current situation, which is fine. That's part of the healing, is to recognize that if I'm hysterical, it's historical. If I'm livid with you, it's probably actually something that happened to me in the past that I'm seeing and projecting onto you. So anyway, I hope that made some sense. If I see that there are some viewers on here, and if this is resonating with you and you are finding that you are still being compulsive and you don't know how to stop, even though you have a program of recovery or you're sober or whatever, send me a private message if it's too intimate to actually post something on Facebook, because there is a way out. You know, I found a way out. I found a way to stop being compulsive. It took me 5.5 years in sobriety to actually let go of being compulsive, and I think that, you know, it's available to all of us. To learn how to be with, the first step is learning how to be with our anxiety, with our fear, and then after that, learning how to be with our anger, and then learning how to be with our sadness, because think of it like a stack over a heart. We have the anxiety, then we have the rage, then we have the sadness, then we have the shame. We got someone back here cleaning. How funny. And so underneath the shame is where we have access to our full heart. Once we heal that, we have access to love. And this is not setting here. So you know what? I can't get this phone to set again. Maybe that means I'm out. Ah, there we go. So underneath the sadness is the shame, the I'm not good enough, the I'm unlovable. And the way that we heal that broken heart, like I just already said on this whole live stream, is by loving ourselves. Self-love, guys. Self-love is the solution, and that's how we feel all our feelings, and that's how we get free from being compulsive. And that's how we stop. That's how we stop. Once we stop drinking, that's how we stop the work. That's how we stop the relationships. That's how we stop doing everything that we don't want to do. Like you say, you're gonna lose weight, and then you keep eating and you can't stop. Because when we eat, we don't have to feel. So whatever is gonna blow our mind on demand, we're gonna do compulsively until we hit some sort of bottom with it. But perhaps if you're listening to this, you could wake up to this, trying this right now, trying the being human, feeling your feelings, and you know, it's so simple, but it's a radical way. I think it's a radical way to actually approach life, because most of us don't do that. Most of us aren't taught that. You know, I mean, I've been living in Indonesia for almost 3 years now, and it's a whole different culture here. Like for me, I experience it as like a very heart-centered culture, and I don't experience America that way. It's more mind-centered. It's more like we live in our heads and we deny how we feel. We're taught to deny how we feel. We're taught that don't feel that, feel this, and certain feelings are okay, especially if you're a boy. Certain feelings are okay. If you're a woman, it's okay to cry, but not if you're a man. And over the long run, that's just going to get us sick and get us further from what we really want. If you really want love, the way to do it is just to love, not to do all this shit to try to get love, because then, like in 7 Years in Tibet, Brad Pitt's character, they're actually loving the wrong. If you act a certain way to get love, the person is loving the wrong person. So it doesn't work that way. Anyway, yeah, so I have this heart healing workshop. This is my super big passion right now, is to help people open up their hearts, help people experience love. Because once we start to heal all those layers that those barriers that we put over our heart, and we start to do the emotional healing, we can have access to our natural state, guys, which is like, think of children. The love, the joy, the aliveness, the exuberance, like that spontaneity, that's our natural state before we get conditioned to be to be some other way. So when we start to heal the heart, we get back to that spontaneity, that joy, that aliveness, that passion, that zest for life. It's possible, it's absolutely possible for you. You know, if a heart like mine can heal back to love, then it's absolutely possible for you. And I could show you how. So send me a message or click the link I put in the comments about the heart healing workshop I have. I'm going to do a live video for that on Monday night if you're in California at 6 p.m., New York 9 p.m., and Bali it's 9 a.m. I think that's right. You guys had daylight savings and we didn't. Anyway, guys, like, the path to love is simple. It's through feeling. And yeah. So wishing you a beautiful day, evening, morning, from wherever you are in the world. Really, from my heart to yours. Message of hope there is that it's possible to stop being compulsive. Love you guys. Oh, one last thing. Share this with any friends that you think might resonate or might also be struggling with compulsiveness in their life, even in sobriety. I think it's an important message to get out that we can heal, you know, and I'm happy to do what I can to help. All right, bye guys.